My name is Notepad, and on our games for fun. So what are we doing today? Today we're going to be trying to finish up Sword Bastard. We're going to be trying to finish up the preliminary of Sword Bastard. Now, there's two reasons why I'm deciding to do this tonight. Two exact reasons. One, I need to work on the other side of Sword Bastards, and that's one very important aspect of things, and the other is I need to really make the game function properly. No tabletop sim tonight. Don't really need tabletop sim. If there comes a drastic need, I can start it up, but c'est la vie. Generally speaking, at our current state of being, we're doing pretty alright when it comes to making the game should work on its feet. Right now, it's about making sure that game sings. I've been watching a lot of videos, been watching a lot of things on it, trying my best to try to get the feel down, and that is proving to be probably the most complicated aspect of this entire thing. Because fun fucking fact, this is immensely complicated, and having just a deck of cards to work with is a unique and very restrictive, it turns out, very restrictive requirement to kind of play around with. But as we kind of went over, effectively the game is divided into two modes of play. You have the basic mode, you could say, you know, kind of like if you're just going around doing something, this is what you're going to be doing, otherwise known as you're going to shuffle the deck. You're going to shuffle the deck, put the cards down, and oh no, there's a check needing to go up, and you're going to announce a difficulty of some variety. So I say, hey, this is going to be a same suit check. You're going to draw up to whatever your skill is. Let's say I have a skill of 5. And the GM is going to flip the card, and you need to get in the same suit as what is drawn. Now, if you have a Joker, that's pretty much just a win. You automatically get what you need. You just place the Joker down, and you are good. That is a trump card, effectively. Normally, however, if let's say I drew the Queen of Hearts, I look through my hand and say, damn, I don't have anything. What I can do is either fail the check or draw from the top of the deck. Pretty much just start top decking, but burning my health away. I might eventually get it, I might not. Basic idea of how things are. The more valid cards you get, the better the success actually is. You have you have 4 cards that match what it is. Cool, you're gonna succeed a lot more than if you have a 1 card. Which does make it actually things like, for example, you see down there the miracle. Miracles are very difficult because there's exactly 1 card in the 54 card deck that does count for it. Technically 2, but that's counting jokers. It's like that is the only card that actually counts for it, which is an issue. It's like, oh damn, I need to make this work a little bit more, and it doesn't want to work for me. So that's kind of one of those more consistent. I made a point where each person had a personalized 52 card deck. Start a game, you have only 30 cards, and the more you level up, the more new cards you add to it. I wanted to avoid building up cards or whatever, because I gave myself a very restrictive goal of 1 deck. All I get to work with, 54 cards. And I could do whatever I want with that deck, it's just I have to work with that singular deck. Which doesn't mean I don't think Sword Bastards is going to be a long game. I really only think that this game is going to be pretty short, all things considering. It's just going to be immensely complicated. Yeah, it's a weird restriction, but generally speaking, I ran through a basic combat with myself. Just rapid fire did a combat, and it works fine when on its face, kind of thing. This does lead me to the combat system. The combat system's a little bit different. You're going to draw up to your combat skill, and your opponent's going to draw up to their combat skill. Oh, so let's say we've got both of our skills down. We look at our hands real fast. And we start having to place down cards opposite one another in a very basic left, right, or center manner of doing things. Now, the basic idea is that weapons are going to influence where you can put certain cards. So, for example, if I'm using a saber, for example, a curved blade, I can't actually put many cards in the center. I can only put one card in the center. So it's like, okay, do I want to go heavy on offense, or do I want to go heavy on defense? But I can put as many as I want on the left and right. However, if I'm using something like a rapier, I can put as many as I want in the center, but only two on either side, because it's mostly a stabbing weapon. This does mean that you can influence the result of certain fights by virtue of, hey, my opponent has an inferior weapon to me. That'll be kind of the restrictions for things like daggers or things like that, kind of balance them out, which is, hey, if you only have a knife, you can place a single knife. You can place a single card in every category. Probably for fists, it's like you can place 2 in 1. Like you're very restricted when it comes to just using your fists, but get a solid hit on somebody, they're going to be able to hurt you. Does Horny Axe Bastards fit as a name for a gay Viking rewrite of TSL? I mean, I'd go for it. I can't stop you from doing that one. But that's kind of the basic concept of it. Now, we were running into some issues regarding what do face cards do. Because originally, I didn't really have anything for the face cards. Now, the current state of being, you could say, is this. This is the current state of being. Whatever king, if you draw a king by chance, search my hand. You draw a king by chance, that pretty much doubles the value of whatever their suit is. So if you have a king of spades, that means you've doubled the value of all the spades currently in that row. So it's like, okay, I have a 4 of spades and I have a king of spades. I have effectively an 8 in there. Okay, cool. Your king is actually pretty valuable, but it doesn't provide any value by themselves. Jacks, on the other hand, legitimately just let you top deck. That's all they let you do. They let you draw from the top of the deck and place it exactly where they are. Doesn't really matter what their suit is. Jokers just ignore all offense if they are a black joker, or defense if they're a red joker on the opposing side. So it's, hey, I've just completely did a full block on you, and you, like, with one card, and you overcommitted everything. Or, hey, you know that defense you just stacked? I have a joker in there, and I managed to do 10 to your face. I managed to slip right through and stab you right in the eye socket. It's Jover. Aces are just the value of the largest card you have currently in there, of the same set anyway. That's how I think about it. The two I'm not sure are actually queens and aces. Currently, queens are like, you can switch out for anything for a fate card, which is kind of like a series of cards equal to the number of sword bastards that are just kind of freely available. Anyone can pick it. And I've been debating on what the queen should do for combat purposes, because I'm like, what do you do? How do you function? Generally speaking, after consulting with some people, otherwise known as me posting randomly in a drinking lounge, my couple ideas I've had for queens are either a queen lets you scour the deck, just whatever is currently available in that deck of cards, you can scour it and pick a card you want. But that seems really fucking broken when it comes to like, oh, you can scour the deck and just pick a 10 or whatever. So I'm like, okay, her value is kind of weird, but maybe it's like it has to be her suit. It's, hey, you keep all the cards in the area that you placed her in. So it's like, oh, will I be able to keep everything there? It's one of the ones that I was thinking is queens add +5 to royal cards of the same suit. or queens add +1 to all of her suits, pretty much. Pretty much, if you put down the queen of hearts, all hearts are going to get a +1. You know, queens can nullify, nullify. The other one I had was queens nullify, make her very aggressive. Now, queens nullify kings and jacks on the other side. So if you think they have a jack on there, if they think they even have a joker or something like that, she nullifies. That's been one of the things that I've been like constantly like going back and forth with, is like I don't quite know if I want to make her really aggressive. I don't know if I want to make her really valuable. Like, that's kind of the weird thing, because like, what do I do with you? That did also somewhat leave me with the idea of movement. Because thinking about it, I really don't have any method to move in this game, like when you're in combat. So what I was thinking of, like, maybe queens are kind of like a free move in some way. Because what I was thinking of doing is, you draw your deck of, let's say you draw your hand of 5 combat cards or whatever, and you look at them and you're scanning your deck a little bit. And you say, okay, hey, I have I have a six of clubs. I have a king. I have a jack of spades. I've got a 7 of hearts, 7 of diamonds, and I've got a joker and a joker. Now I've got this king of spades here. I can't place the king of spades anywhere that he'll be useful. So what I was thinking about doing is, like, any card you don't want to place, you can use as a movement card in some variety. To move just a handful of spaces on, like, maybe like a little very simplistic kind of map. Which the main thing for that would give weapon range a little bit more to work with. Is, hey, I have a long sword, you have a fucking knife. Who's gonna win? If I manage to let you get close to me, then, like, yeah, we're pretty equal, but I'm not gonna want you to get close to me. So if I have, like, range advantage, maybe I get, like, a free, maybe I can draw more cards or something. With 3 rows and having face cards have unique effects, you could look at Marvel Snap effects for inspiration. Yeah, that was kind of like the idea of... Those are 2 cards, very cheap move as opposed to an A. Let me see. My idea was that, like, each card is going to let you move like a certain number of spaces or something similar to that. Where it's a pretty... I would say the best way to think about it is using a move like that is kind of like your get out of jail free card, or it's like a burn method for a card. Where it's like, I have this useless king here. The king isn't going to do anything for me currently. But if I use him for movement, I can, quickly reposition myself. I can move a good distance away from the man with the giant knife that wants to kill me. Or, hey, I can move away from the giant, or I can move closer to the man with the pointy spear who wants to kill me. It's not going to do anything in the field, but allow me to do something. But most of the time, you want to play your cards to protect yourself or something similar to that. That's what I was thinking. When it comes to, like, the movement cards, and the idea of the queen being, hey, you can use the queen. Yeah, it's less of a move and more of a dodge or reposition. That'd be kind of the idea. Again, I don't really have that much resources to really play with. I don't have that many things to really fuck around with at this point. If anything, I could probably use stamina, being like, you can burn a number of stamina to, like, move yourself. Maybe the value on the card, amount of stamina you use or something, so lower values if we do that, which is the idea of the lower numbers are cheaper for you to move, so you can move with a 10, but it's just going to be like... I need a quick room. I'll just add a wall in the middle ring. Yeah, it's one of the things that I've been kind of like worrying about in a lot of different things like that is most fights, most honest to God fights are going to be 1v1 or 1v like up to, I could say reasonably 3. You really don't. What's going to happen is like you get into a fight, everyone's going to break off and start fighting like a few, like 1 or 2 people by themselves. And it's, you know, everyone's kind of resolving that at the same time. That's why I'm thinking like maybe everything kind of acts in, we're also having to run an ad. Maybe we run everything in the more of a relative sense. Let's see, maybe Marvel Snap got something for me to work with. Marvel Snap. Is Marvel Snap an NFT game? What's digital collectible cards? Oh goodness. It's an NFT game. Oh boy, I sure do love NFTs. Please shut the fuck up. This game is bad, though. We like a training scene in Zoro, I'm mostly dealing with getting in and out of combat range, choosing to advance or retreat. Yeah, it's that I was trying to base it off of fencing more than anything, because most fights are going to be pretty close range, but I still want the kind of that add a little element of, yeah, you're moving your ass away, or Marvel Snap. It's was recommended as like a 3-lane game with unique effects or something. I was like, maybe I can reference this. Like, yeah. So, I mean, if we use that, we use the idea of X-Wing. Do what X-Wing does, where the lowest number goes first. What? Then you can play low cards to move. See, this is why I say it's always good to have a variety of things to use. Let's see. Each maneuver has 3 components: speed. Let's see, bearing, speed. Templates. Okay. X-Wing game. I guess I will type in initiative. That's like... The current thing is the issue with that. The issue with that is that you are revealing different parts of pretty much the board at different times. Then that would be kind of the ending. That's why I'm thinking, like, maybe you have to burn like one of those cards to move early on. Like you have to, either you would move first, then attack, or you would attack, all three of the attacks and then move. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Give royal the same suit value +5. We do that, like the queen gives herself value of just +5. So whatever she is, she counts as a 5, but she might be worth 15 if you have a king and a jack in that same thing. So she's either worth 5 or 15, depending on the absolute amount of people you pretty sure you have in there. So if you have a full family in one thing, that's stacked with the king, though. That's the question. Does that stack with king? Double value of suit. So... no, that doesn't work. Because the king wouldn't... Because the king there would then double himself. So the value would be 10. He would give himself 10. Everyone would get 10. So it would just be like, you just need a royal family to win. If you get the royal family in your hand, you're fucked. Something like that. You have Faint mechanic, yeah, with you tie that to playing a queen, so you can switch a set of cards into different lanes. You just make it an Exodia thing where you have the whole family, you just win, or like, wow, bro, unless you countered by a Joker. Yeah, it's... I mean, this is the big thing. This is the big thing. There's one counter to being like super confident about having like a full family. If you have the full family, there's one problem with it. They select the other side that you don't have the family in with like a 10-point stab, and they just kill you. Oh no, how do we successfully defeat the enemy here? Oh, I know, I've just stabbed you in you where you were not prepared. I've just stabbed you in the chest. You are bleeding to death now. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha, fuck off. Would be a good way. I like the thing. There's two things I need to consider. One, there might be 4 of these going on at once. That's one thing that I'm like a little bit little bit on. More one card with a queen. See, God. Now you see the beautiful fucking nightmare that this is, where it's like, what do you do with just the queen? Because like the thing is, like most combat maneuvers, like things that we would traditionally think of like combat maneuvers, you were just straight up making a 2-player dueling card game. Yeah, I know, but here's the problem. This is the beautiful thing, Feel Good. Is that this is a 2-player card game in which at that seemingly random moments, you can now make this a 3v1 card game where you're looking at your hand and you're like, can we do a redo? As 4 fucking guys try to stab at you. It's like, oh, I'm getting murdered here. I am going to die. I need to escape. It's like fighting more than like 2 people is a pretty dangerous fucking game. Because how that's going to work is they are all going back up. Because what's going to happen is at the end of the day, if you get encountered, let's say by 3 people, 3 people jump you, they're going to fight you, you draw your sword, they draw theirs. The big thing is they're going to draw up to their full combat power. You're going to draw up to your combat power. And you're going to check your hand. You're like, okay. They're going to check all of their hands, be able to work together, and find out how to best fuck your day up. Because they can only play up to, let's say you have 5 cards, they can only play up to 5 cards. But they have 15 cards now to actually determine what that is. They have a lot more options to be like, okay, hey, I've got a 9, I've got a 4, and like, oh, what do you, oh, I have 2, I have a 10, I have a 10 block and a 10 hearts. And you look at your hand being like, you have a 2 of hearts and you have a 2 of diamonds. You also have a bunch of jacks that do jack shit currently for you. It's like, oh, I'm going to die. Like, I'm going to get fucked up. And so that's kind of the idea of, it is kind of a 2-player, it's effectively a 2-player, kind of dueling card game with the idea that I want you to act like a bastard. Remember, the first rule of combat is, the first rule of honorable combat is be dishonorable. If, oh no, there's a guy here. There's 3 guys and they've jumped me. They're gonna fight me. Oh no, I'm not prepared for this. Hey, GM, yeah? I draw my pistol and shoot one of them. Okay, let's make a quick check here. Oh, please, beat a fucking, like, oh, make a Rouge and Noir, and you have to roll, you have to effectively draw a red, and first card you draw is an 8 of hearts. It's like, well, yeah, you pop the first guy, he fucking dies, because you got shot with a musket ball. He's on his ass, you blew a golf ball sized hole through his chest, and everybody in the immediate vicinity knows, now, and what do you do now? Run. I just run. I just book it. Fuck this. I am not paid enough for this shit. Which is, I want the idea of being a completely dishonorable jackass of a human being to be completely valid. Hey, we're going to be getting into a fight with a bunch of guys. What do? We're going to be a dick and try to figure out a way to, win ahead of time. Hey, there's 4 of them and we're outnumbered 2-1. What do? I'm just going to shoot one of them. Like, I am just going to pop one right in the fucking shoulder. He's out of the fight. I jump on the next guy. Okay, it's Jover. Like, dishonorable combat, like a filthy Italian. Yeah, it's be a dishonorable fuck. Yeah, be a terrible human being. You're a sword bastard. You're not like a sword good guy. It's like, yeah, be a dick. You know, figure out a way to cheat the game. And that's kind of one of the way of like what I'm thinking, like that fate string of cards is going to be a representative of. It's you cheating the game. It's you looking at it and being like, okay, so we've got all of these, and it's like, hey, wait a second. Like, yeah, I've got a 10 of diamonds there. Yeah? And, you know, as you just slowly draw the ace of diamonds in the fucking, slowly draw the ace of diamonds from the fate deck. I'm gonna put that on there. I do 20 damage. Like, oh, yeah, no, you just fucking stab him. Like, you just stab him in the eye socket and he's dead on the ground. Oh, yeah, he was going to pull out some amazing bullshit technique on you, and you just beat him. On the other hand, you cucked your friend out of getting the ace of diamonds he needs now. Literally steal their card. I mean, I wouldn't say stealing, but I mean, the fate deck is effectively the mechanic for cheating. Because you at all times effectively, and throughout pretty much the session, you effectively know what about 3 to 4 cards are going to be. And you can freely swap them out for any of your other cards, or just draw them and just give them into your hand. Yeah, pretty much the idea of like the cheat, I might even call it the cheat row, which is like, yeah, not only is that like a way for you, the player, to get a little bit of a leg up in a game that's really chance driven, without a lot of ways to influence it. You also have the innate advantage of knowing that there is an 8 of hearts right here that I can use right now. Hey, I need to do 4 fucking damage to this guy, and he just blocked all of my fucking damage right now. I'm gonna take that goddamn 8 of hearts, I'm gonna put it down here, and I'm gonna pull out the knife in my and I'm gonna pull the knife out of my fucking boot. It's like, oh, we're clashing blades or whatever. I'm just gonna kick up with the knife in my boot. I'm just gonna kick him in the dick with my knife and kill him. Oh, you're on the ground suffering. Ha ha ha, fucking loser. I do it to cause you pain. And yeah, I think that's the idea, kind of like that Rose. Like, you have innate knowledge that the NPCs do not. Which I know I'm going to have to at least write in quick combat. Or like, hey, if you're fighting a lot of dudes at once, instead of having to draw and manage every single person's hand, all you do is just top deck everything. You don't plan anything out, you top deck it. And if you're fighting multiple people at once, you pretty much top deck, you top deck extra cards. It's like, yeah, you can. It's like, yeah, you pretty much look at it being like, okay, this goes here, this goes here, this goes here, this goes here. It's like, yeah, you can kind of fuck around with people a little bit more. Okay. But you did give me an idea in which we can do the opposite of the king. Would half or would reducing reducing the value of her suit in the opposing side by half or to 0 feel better? Like, you put a queen down, someone puts a queen down, and their queen of hearts is like, oh, I put out all my, yeah. that is the best way to think about it is that's her draw. She has a 10, she draws an ace and makes it a 20, and just immediately evaporates somebody. Like, there's no hope. Yeah, it's Yeah, it's the thing is, the only issue with that is that, again, I have one deck. That's kind of the big idea. I have one deck, and I don't want it to be like, oh, let's burn all the low cards so we can count the numbers a little bit better, man. Like that's what I don't want to do that. That it's just like, I don't want it to be like you burn a bunch of cards and then suddenly checks are just getting weird and chances and shit are just weird. I don't really want that. That's what I'm trying to avoid in that front. But good idea. Different game, maybe, that would work, but not quite this one. But again, like, half of me is legacy board game. I am fascinated by legacy board games. I've always been fascinated by them. I do like the idea of legacy board games and stuff. I would want to do. I do have a board game that I've been trying to make forever. Like, it's been like 2.5 years now. I've been trying to make it work. Cards are cheap and fun to destroy. I don't like destroying cards. They're my cards. See, that's the thing that's always painful for me for legacy games, and I hate breaking, like, destroying anything that I've bought. And even if it was like somebody else's thing, God, that would physically pain me to actively like destroy somebody else's property. It's like, oh well, that's the like, oh, that's the point. Like, it's supposed to be like, it's supposed to be a legacy game, and ha ha ha. Like, no, that would still like fuck me up. Like, I couldn't do it. It would hurt. Destroys throws Yugi's card deck on the size of a cruise liner. Man, I remember that in Yu-Gi-Oh! How are the cards this? How are the cards this dick? Board game has interesting mechanic. Board games can sometimes have interesting mechanics related to it, like you can use for RPGs. Card games, you can find a lot more with card games, simply because you can sometimes make things work a little bit. The only issue with, like, to get really unique card games, like literally like those very unique card games to work for an RPG, you either have to make a brand new set of cards, or you pretty much have to use just a standard deck of cards or somebody else's deck of cards. That's why it's always been like, I'm gonna make the Magic RPG where I just use Magic cards. I'm like, that's a terrible idea. Like, universally speaking, that is the worst fucking idea you could ever make. Because it's impossible to, like, you get a direct power bonus by virtue of owning owning cards. So it's like, oh yeah, sorry, here's my here's my level 1 character, yuck yuck yuck. Pick a keyfinder or jumpstart by a 20-card deck with AI generated character sheets. Fuck. That was what one game tried that. I saw it, I remember seeing it on itch.io, and I'm like, you fucking goblin, you goddamn worthless waste of space. Someone tried that, and I was so fucking mad. Can I start with the Black Lotus? Can I start with a Black Lotus? Yeah, it's like magic loot boxes and shit like that. No. Like I remember the NFT thing, like they tried to do The queen is pretty much just like a lesser Joker. That's kind of the issue with the queen, is that it's a lesser Joker. It's also one of the few things that may be able to fuck with the Joker. As well as queens fuck with kings, they fuck with jokers, they fuck with aces, except no, maybe we do something like, oh, okay. But if we go over here, we're not going to do directional health. Actually, do actually, it would be Fleshwood. No. So I mean, if we keep it with this idea here, so flesh wounds are pretty much going to be 0. Let's say 0 to 5 overage. Minor wounds would then be 6 to 10. Major wounds would 11 to 15. And then mortal wounds 16 up. Like if you take more than 16 damage after your stamina's depleted, you're just fucking gonna die. Like you're just dead. Like there's nothing, you're not really coming back from that. And this thing algorithmically created war bands, fun comps, imagining 40k times getting real angry, but I need crunch numbers. You find it at a fun tournament time where you brought the worst deck and other people had to use it while you use their worst deck. Cause facial scar, blah blah, Germany, blah. That could be you want to know something we could do? Actually, we could do we can make that a way to actually survive certain, like, if you do manage to survive a mortal wound, like some fucking manner, you manage to hobble your ass to a doctor, you manage to get patched up just enough to survive, you're gonna get 2 bastardry, pretty much roguish behavior and notoriety, which we can probably actually tie into the fact of like, yeah, by virtue of getting your shit rocked, you're a better fighter. You're a better fighter. Like, you're just getting better at your job because you managed to survive getting half your fucking organs ripped out. Like, I think the idea is pretty much going to be like, if you have minor wounds, you're pretty, like, anything past flesh wounds are still like, you're pretty fucked up. Like, you need help now. It's like mortal wounds, though, is like, unless you are immediately dragged to a back alley barber who is willing to take anything, and even they're going to be, it's like, yeah, I don't even know if I could fix him, and you do a miraculous roll on your miraculous check or something, I would probably make it a, I would probably say it'd be I would say it would either be I'd say it would be hard, complex, like, I would say like hard, complex, difficult. Like, you have to get within 1 to survive a mortal wound. It's not necessarily a miracle or super dangerous, but it's like, yeah, like, you're gonna need to desperately try. We can do that. If we do the idea that... if we do the idea that there are... aggro, which is going to be... finesse, defensive. We tie it to various combat skill. Sword fencing styles. Very different. Half sorting. That could be, actually, we... if we want to do it that way, what we could do is we could tie every single one of these to a combat skill. That's what I was thinking originally, is like everything is all, every single check you make, every single combat skill is ultimately just going to be, you know, attribute plus bastard. Like, just, here's whatever your attribute is, plus how much of a jackass, just a horrible human fucking being you are. Bastardry really isn't used for anything else, though. That's kind of the issue, is like, being a bastard isn't going to make you stronger. It's not going to make you faster. It's not going to make you more charismatic. It's not going to make you smarter. It's just going to make sure that everybody knows that you're a fucking dick. And, like, nobody likes you. That's why fighting is, you know, like, that's kind of like the one thing it's tied with. That means we would need to keep these values, like, fairly low, because these would be the number of cards you draw for this. Unless we do, like... Are there rules for ending them rightly? What do you mean by that? I'm not going to be like fucking Twilight 2000 where you have to make a check upon a check to make sure you can fucking kill someone. Like... It's what I've kind of put myself at the timeline for anything is actually weirdly enough, I've put myself more in the Age of Enlightenment. More specifically, the early Age of Enlightenment. Which is to say, one of the main issues you're going to have to deal with are the Musketeers. Not necessarily the best way to think about it is, hey, we're going to fight we're going to deal with the enemy. What are we going to do here? Haha, hee hee, hoo hoo. Like, oh, it's a musketeer. That's not going to be that big of a threat as they draw like 8 cards naturally and completely fuck your guys' day up. It's like, oh, I feel very outmatched currently because it's just a singular musketeer who's really fucking good at his job. That's why I was thinking of like this kind of era, like kind of the, you know, the various, you know, Three Musketeers and co, even though if you want to be like really specific, it's like Musketeers. But yeah, it's kind of more around this era. So it's like, I'm gonna bring out my longsword isn't really going to be like that big of a thing. If you see some jackass bringing a longsword to the fight, like, shit's gotten real, or you're trying to break into, like... Hey, buy the... Like, kind of the, like, the point is, like, musketeers... Some musketeers did use muskets. That was, like, a big thing. It's... Musketeers, however, you know, they did use muskets, but it was, like, by kind of the point where I want to do is, like, a little bit more of their, later depictions, which is more on the idea of, like, they were just a bunch of dudes. They would get into fights, they would do things depending on which, like, regiment they were part of. Like, that's the entire plot of the Three Musketeers, is just jackasses doing things. Like, I don't want to fight the scary musketeer. But again, if you end up fighting, like, a musketeers, like, a small group of musketeers versus you guys, you will be outmatched. And I want to kind of get that across. And, like, the one thing I am worried about, the one thing that I am very worried about when it comes to increasing the, like, having a large number of, a very large number, you could say, of these, is very simply put, I only have 54 cards. And if I'm doing, like, if it gets to the point where, like, every, like, 4 people have to draw 8 cards, let's see, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, I'm like literally just running out of cards to work with. So it's like, okay, like that's why I'm like, like how do I like keep the numbers decent? So I might actually keep those, like the attributes, pretty low, all things considering. And even getting up to like, if you get up to like 8 cards for your combat skill, you've done pretty fucking good. Like, you are pretty good. That's why I'm a little bit hesitant of like raising Bastard very quickly. It's like, okay, like maybe we tone this down a little bit, but it's also going to be the number of cards you're going to be drawing just by default. So it's like, crap, how do I kind of balance this out to make it work properly? Generally speaking, I want most cards you're going to be drawing to be 3 to 4. That means most attributes, those top 3 attributes, are going to have to be between 3 and 4. Out of average, mind you. You can have things that are above average just as much as you can have things below average. So, the one other option, the other option is a little riskier. The little riskier option is I don't let you increase those top 4 after your character has been generated. After you make your character, those top 4 will not change. And it's more about how do we, with my current setup, how do I do with that? But how do you give them advancements then outside just you get more bastardry, or you increase, or you get more money to increase kind of more of the criminal element of the game, more of the other side, as I would like to call it. Because we still have this entire thing over here, which we just haven't really been touching too much, just because it's... If we keep it pretty light, but I guess the idea, as well is that you're not really going to have massive longevity, if that makes sense. Like, your characters are very fragile. So maybe, maybe we tie it exclusively to money, maybe to variety, which will increase bastardry, but maybe we also use, if all else fails, we could literally just give you skills, which skills will probably more apply to this version. We can do the skills, we can, and we can do things with like skills and talents more than anything. Like, your attributes don't increase at all. Like, if you roll, I wouldn't say roller, but if you end up choosing you have a 2 in intelligence, and you're kind of stuck drawing 2 cards for intelligence in almost every instance. However, you survive long enough, you can start, saying, hey, I want to change what I can, use in certain contexts. I want to turn all of my clubs, turn my clubs into something else. I want to do, have my, various values shift around a little bit. More about talents. That could work. I have been debating on adding a meta currency. That could also work. Like, you just increase like a basic meta currency. I don't quite know how the meta currency would work, but more along the lines of you have a little bit of a gimme in certain situations. Like, yeah, you get a free top deck, like something like that. But it's like, maybe I can just tie that to talents, something like that, or more gang related stuff. Because the big thing with Sword Bastards is that I do intend for you to die. It's a bad hit. If you get something bad, for example, you just don't predict, you make a bad call, for example, and you see on the other side, like, okay, I'm gonna go for heavy offense or something like that, and they mitigate it all and they deal 12 damage to your face, and they completely rip through your stamina, they deal a nasty fucking wound, and it's like, oh, let's check how much damage I have. Oh, I took 11 damage. I have a major wound now. They're like, okay, I can work with this. What's poppin' over here? Oh, you also did 8 more damage, and I'm just fucking dead. Like, I have been ran through with a knife, and I am going to die. But one of the things is, you are, as a sword bastard, how I want it to kind of go. This is the arc of a campaign. It doesn't have to be this way, but it's kind of the idea. At first, you are effectively a gang of dumb fucks. You are just this little kind of group working under somebody bigger. And you're the sub-gang that they allow you to work territory. You're kind of, you have a boss. It's kind of very much like, you're clearly criminals. You have your own territory. People clearly know that you guys are in charge. But slowly and steadily, you recruit, you build upward. You increase your rank. Now you are a boss, and you have people following you around. Now you are the problem child, which leads to, getting up bigger, which gets up getting up bigger. And now it's kind of like, by the time you hit that second rank, which should be relatively quickly, game-wise, it's kind of like in a Traveler game. If they don't start with a spaceship, you give them one. Which is kind of the idea of, you have people to draw from your characters back from, because it's like, yeah, you have a gang now. You have a couple dozen guys working for you, and if one of the main guys go down, you can easily replace him with another main guy. And it's kind of like, okay, you're cycling guys out, and it's like, hey, yeah, people are trying to, muscle up to the top, and maybe we can do that with the idea of a little bit, I hate to say this, but a little bit of like a roguelike element a little bit, which is kind of like, hey, you're kind of expected to lose a character and replace it with someone who's better, who has a higher base stat range, because you've upgraded your gang to do that, which could be a good little story arc of like, yeah, we're getting replaced effectively by the guys we've been training, and hey, I've got a knife in my... Oh no, I have a knife in my back now. Whatever shall I do? Oh no! Oh no! And this isn't even factoring in like, yeah, you're being sent to the forever box by the police, by the popo, by the watch. So I think that could work. So it's kind of like, I don't really care as much for the... Okay, you know what? We tie it to talents. Talents are going to get complicated, but maybe we can tie it to, if we want to. Again, we have plenty of things to kind of fuck around with, especially kind of like up here. It's like, yeah, like, hey, you can, once per combat bout, you can take one of your cards from one location, keep it in your hand, but still drop to your maximum amount. So it's like, yeah, you can play around with that a little bit more. Okay. Attribute plus bastard equal combat skill. We do maybe we do like an opposing. We use the... We use the idea of the Italian. Because yeah, this would be the French. Franc. Invention of the German and French suits. German, what the fuck is this? Oh, hearts, bells, acorns, and leaves. What the fuck is that? What is... No, Germany, stop that. Stop that. Stop it. Get some help. Use the Spanish one. There's creation use semi-RNG, like drawing a selection of cards, and you have to use those cards to fill out various stats and stuff. Quick. You still have some control. Ah, cubes. My favorite stat. Yeah, I mean... That would be... See, the Spanish one would be appropriate, but we're using a French deck. If only for convenience's sake, because that's what's easy to get. Because like a standard Spanish deck is... Yeah, the Italian playing cards. Yeah, these are the Italian playing cards is swords, cups, coins, and batons. Yeah, and then you have the French suited ones. Mm-hmm. 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 An Italian 40 card deck. Oh god. We could make this work if I built it around, but this is too... This is a little bit too tight. In theory, here's the thing. If this wasn't a role-playing game, you could probably use this for just the basic, like, kind of the dueling thing. You could probably use it for just this. Use an Italian deck and make things go a lot faster. If we want to do... Here, my beloved. Yeah, it's only 40 cards. I could see inspiring the abilities of suits with the Spanish deck. Little young. Yeah, it's the only thing about that is it would either be either too easy or impossible, because I still have to think about that this is played both in real life as well as going to be played probably on a VTT. I like to assume both. Sword bass, not sword pretty kind angels who play by the rules all the time. Yeah, but I still need to make the game, you know, fun. That's also a very big factor, because here's the thing. If we're playing just normal, like with a deck of cards in the center of a table, that would be a lot simpler, because you could just start palming things a lot easier. It's me, putting all my, putting my hands together and being like, let me just do a quick, like, okay, like, oh, I only drew 4 cards. Let me draw another one real fast, and it's like, okay, it's like hard for you to tell. Like, okay, you place it down and be like, aha, I've secretly got a 10 in there, haha. That's one way, but in like a VTT, if you're playing this on like tabletop sim, the GM mouses over something. It's like, what the fuck is that, bitch? It says 2. What the fuck? The fuck are you doing, motherfucker? The fuck are you doing? You dumb cunt. The fuck did you think was gonna go on? Like, he was like, oh no. Yeah, cheaty face. Let's put it into a VTT somehow. Yeah, that's kind of like the one issue that I could see going on with it. So it's like, okay, cheating as an alternate rule. That could be fun side note rules, being like, yeah, if you manage to palm a card off or you manage to like double draw, like anytime there's a fuck up on either side, it goes through. Like, see, if I want to be cruel about things, I could literally just say, whatever occurs is going to happen. The only way to, because you can cheat theoretically in this game. Like, let's say for example, like I draw my 5, draw your 5 for, for our duel, our little duel here. We're looking around and it's like, theoretically speaking, if you're playing with like a Rapier, for example, like you could only put 2 on the sides, and you look at your hand here a little bit and you're like, oh, okay, I can only put 2 on my sides. And you kind of put the cards down just right, and you kind of put another one down, and then it's like, yeah, you've put 3 cards where you shouldn't, or hey, it's just like, as long as no one notices it, it goes through. Yeah, I'll probably do it like that. It's just like, hey, if you are cheating and you get caught, you like burn stamina or something. I could probably do is like you burn stamina and in turn health equal to whatever it is. Or see, if the GM wants to be very cruel, it takes away one of your cheat cards. One of your actual cheat cards that you get. So it's like, yeah, I'm like literally taking away your options and you just don't get them back. But if we do an attribute plus combat skill, if we want to do, generation for that, what we could do is, we do something like this. Aces, what we could do is we could treat aces. We do treat aces high, so I mean we could just say, yeah, you get a fucking 5 right off there. Like, yeah, you get a 5 in an attribute, you draw 5 fucking cards. Minimum, you're gonna be rolling like. So I mean, if we want to do this right, we could say, hey, let's draw 5 cards. You draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You draw 5 cards. You look at your hand, and it's like, okay, depending on what cards you get or something, maybe we can work that out. Stat attribution. Now, if I want to be precise about things, what I could do is, There's a couple ideas I could work with that there. There's probably a collection that you could work with to make this work. It's just like, aha, I tried to cheat, being like, that's really funny you tried that. It really sucks that you're gonna lose things now. Haha. So yeah, if we treat this as the idea of like, maybe like random generation of stats, we just have to tie it to like whatever card you draw or something. That could be fun. It's like, yeah, you have a chance of getting 4s and everything, and you're just like the perfect human being. If I want to be a little bit of a dick, what I could do is whatever your highest stat is, like if you have like a really high amount of stats, like you just get a lower than average, like you might get a 0 bastardry. So if you're really strong, really agile, super willful, and incredibly intelligent, you have 0 bastard. You're going to be drawing 4 combat cards at best. But if you kind of are lacking in certain fields, like you're not really that good, you might have a bastard, like a really high bastardry rating. It's like, yeah, that's how we compensate. That could work. Yeah, aces just give you something nice for it. Not common, but okay. All right, that works. So if we want to do the faction stuff, let's do the criminal part of the criminal rating. I've had 2 options here, and I want all of your opinions on things, obviously, because I trust all of you. And the best idea, if you kind of look in the idea here, is either we do what's the, how do I want to, it's like, it's a very, there's actually a very pretty much like if we use, let's take again Blades in the Dark, for example, because this is what this game is partially based on. Blades in the Dark really is, you kind of look at here, Duskfall, legally distinct Dunwall, because again, creativity's dead. But yeah, the idea of Duskfall, or the City of Abaddon, or any of these things, you're taking place in these little blocks, but if you really look at it, it's Blades in the Dark, the crew, not the crew. Yeah, it wouldn't be the crew sheet, right? Your basic crew sheet doesn't really do much. Where is the fucking where player kit, crews, action? Is it? No, not that. Prison claims. Okay, yeah. You have the idea of these claims. Like, this is actually how you build up the city, pretty much. Is that each of these different locations do something different for you, and they're based off of this. Like, everyone's got their own little, like, map they have to worry about. So if we go to, like, the cult, for example, everything you do is based off of this. I want things to be a little bit more... I think this is the most nightmarishly convoluted game design process I've seen. I don't know what you're talking about, Ethical. I gave myself a very particular thing. I have to work with a fucking deck of cards. That's all. I have to work with one deck of 54 fucking playing cards in a French deck. So... this was like the thing starting off with. Mind you, cards weren't in the thing to begin with. This wasn't originally going to be cards. But have no fear. My schizophrenic over here is everything is done here, and it'll be fine. Have no fear. Don't think about it. But yeah, this is kind of how the block wars actually work in Blades in the Dark. One of the ideas that I kind of liked, but I also didn't like very much, because it's very weird. It's weird. Let's just call a spade a spade. It's so I thought about it for a bit, because technically you can do like a blank crew sheet. My two other ideas was quite literally we take like a this isn't Block Wars. This isn't War. I know that. This isn't what I'm looking for like I know there's a fucking effectively it's like, do I take a map of a city, break it down into various squares, and like that's what you're fighting over? Or do I do, how do I best want to word this? Like if we consider like each neighborhood or like something similar to that, like, yeah, you're competing over literally like these neighborhoods and influence over the neighborhoods of like a particular district for it. Because even if we use like a city that, you know, pretty common, it is like Altdorf, for example. This is Altdorf from Warhammer Fantasy. Everyone loves Altdorf, the city of 1,000, you know, the city of humanity. All the glory that goes in with it. The city of humanity. But as you can kind of see here, you'd be fighting over like the docks. That's the place where you're fighting over. You want to fight over the docks. And you're trying to build up influence in a very particular area. Not necessarily that's my 52 card pickup to make the city. That's cursed in its own way. But it's not necessarily that, it's how do you represent it? Because currently it's like this. It's like kind of amorphous nothing burger. Or do I literally use like, here's a grid, have fun? Like if I open this up, let me open my paint.net up real fast. Let me just make a grid in 5 fucking seconds, because paint.net's grid feature is the most useful thing you will ever invest $0 into. Where's the grid button? Not grid warp, very different. Give me grid. I demand grid. Grid man. Anyone watch Grid Man? I watched it. I thought it was fine. Like this is the cursed existence of Grid Man. I thought it was perfectly okay. Not my favorite show, not the worst show I've ever watched. But let's say, for example, this is like our city. Welcome to the city of 1,000 dreams. Fuck, we just. And by virtue of being in here, the goal is to more kind of slowly understand. Where's the? It's kind of understanding like, okay, here's our little slice of paradise up here. Here's our little slice of paradise. We fundamentally know that those bastards that we all hate because they're a bunch of no good, evil human beings that want nothing more than to eat our children and enslave our people are over here. We fundamentally know that that our longtime allies that we definitely will not betray here soon are kind of claim this area. And everyone knows, of course everyone knows, that you do not touch this area of the city. You do not touch it. This is where the guard hangs out. So it's like, okay, what do we do here? How do we handle it? This is option one, effectively. Where it's like we break the city into a grid and we move from there. Give them a grid and they play reverse-y. X-map, baby. Paint is cringe. Hey, I'm using paint.net, thank you very much. Model gang. Where is the secret foreign police force hangout? Luckily, none of that. I do kind of have the setting in mind. I've been kind of going back and forth on it a little bit. But it's like, okay, so it's like, here we go, a little bit of the, let me see if I can remember this, the way that I remember it. I know this isn't the way, kind of like this, kind of like the Los Santos, you know, San Andreas, sorry. San Andreas gang war map, kind of like people going back and forth and, you know, like who's in charge, like who's not in charge, who's, you know, kind of like where the fight's going on. It's gang territories. That's at the end of the day what it's going to be. And all of the associated problems that go along with it. It's like, do I want to model it as a grid? Do I want to model it more amorphous? That's where things start getting a little bit like, how do I want to do this? How do I want to do this properly? Because it gets a little bit, instead of these rectangles because of cards. What I was actually thinking about doing, feel good. If you want to hear maximum cringe, is that each kind of like neighborhood or district or whatever, square or whatever like that, you can effectively do 4 things. You can put a heart. You can kind of put a heart business or kind of like a thing there. You can put a diamond business. You could put a club business. Let me try to draw club poorly, like that's a club. Or you can try to put a spade business. I know these look similar, fuck you. Or you can put a spade business. You can try to double it up, but you lose pretty much access to one other, which that's maybe something you do there. This would be a little bit more loosey-goosey, if that makes sense. That's why, like, to do this method, that's why I was also kind of thinking of the more, again, the more amorphous method, which is like we literally just draw out, like you just draw out a city or something like very basic like this. This is kind of just an example. We know for a fundamental fact that we control everything in this territory. We control a little bit of this territory, but a vast majority of it belongs to our most hated enemies or whatever. That's kind of the idea there. Like you're trying to model things a little bit more district based and a little bit more back and forth. What game has the best economics rules? Yeah, those economics rules are a pain in the ass and you should never touch them. Like, let me think. Yeah, I mean, reverse is also a good way to model gang warfare. That is correct. Like, I wonder. Let's do a little bit of digging. Can you dig it? The idea is the concept of the city is going to remain the same. I don't quite know if I want to give them like, hey, whatever's in the city, I have no idea what the fuck's in the city. You choose that. Or, again, I make it a little bit more amorphous like that. That's kind of been like my ideas there. Like the Warriors RPG could be funny. It could be fun, but you'd have to go 125% on it. I wonder. I mean, there's got to be something. Mafia Gang Wars RPG. Yeah, let's text-based MMORPG. Oh yeah, gamers. Melandros. God, fucking Melandros. I backed it on Kickstarter years ago. I don't know why people would ever recommend. I have no idea why anyone would recommend Cartel, but I really don't like. I mean, we got Copperhead. Oh, wow. This seems cool. It is forged in the dark. GURPS. Blades in the dark, blades in the dark. Everyone just says blame. Bombs and balaclavas. One of the very few times you'll see anyone recommend the unironic terrorist game. Written by Chad Walker of Sigmata, the Signal Kills Fascists fame. Have no fear. How about D&D 5th edition? Pfft. It's the thing is, if you were to say, hey, how do you do a Warriors game? My thing with the Warriors game is that you make it mostly about brawling. However, here's the catch. You make it about brawling and someone can bring the gun out. And anytime the millisecond the gun comes out, shit gets real. It's not people beating the shit out of each other anymore. It's we're all going to die now. Like, someone's gonna die. You know, a fucking gun is on. Do you know, despite making up 80% of the market, D&D 5 uses responsible for 98% of notepads aneurysms? Let's actually. This is gonna be a long shot. I wonder if this is a thing that I can. Let's think. Boggles. Again. You ballers. By district. We break things up into territories and districts. With how many districts are we working with here? Let's say yeah, like the thing is, the thing with Dogs in the Vineyard, and I'll always say this, Dogs in the Vineyard had a lot of good ideas. The one problem is that it was written by Vincent Baker. And Vincent Baker cannot help but fuck up every single thing he touches. Just violate it. It's terrible. How big are the districts? I don't know. Woohoo! I don't really know. See, it's pretty much the basic idea of the setting is that pretty much you are playing on a what was at one point effectively a frontier city. You know, this frontier city in the middle of fucking nowhere. Absolutely goddamn nowhere. Nobody liked this place. It was always being attacked. Until one ruler effectively said, fuck this shit. And started doing a lot of things he shouldn't have. Effectively in the I can't believe it's not Holy Roman Empire kind of thing. And struck out. He's like, you know what? I'm not going to get any assistance from other people. I'm just going to forge my own world effectively. I'm going to do whatever the hell I feel like. And I am thinking about adding in some more like mystic qualities to things. Like there is some distinctly inhuman factors to things. It's like, yeah, what did we do? He recruited the orcs. He bought off a bunch of fucking orcs and he's like, cool, let's just start conquering. Fuck it, we ballin'. Fuck it, we ballin'. And you know, he's any criminal, you know, anyone with a past, any criminal, any problem, anything, it doesn't matter. He won effectively. That's kind of the idea. What did I keep going back to the card theme? I knew orcs were German. It was kind of the idea that like he eventually wins, and he's just forged this city into a mega city, just permanent war economy, permanent like we're doing horrible things. It's effectively the city from Thief, I think is the best way to think about it. It's like, here is like this massive goddamn city that this single emperor has been building up so long to wage a war against everyone and everything, and he won. And now we have to deal with the consequences of such. Where it's like, yeah, this city is too big for what like the number of people in it. And not even kind of the both ways. Like, it's a constantly expanding city. Like, it's just massive fucking place. Everything is kind of... Everyone's kind of more split up into, like, their little neighborhoods and their little boroughs, but you're still part of the city. And it's like, yeah, you do have people... Like, that's just Chicago. That's effectively fantasy Chicago. That would be very appropriate. Though, let's be honest with ourselves, it would just be fantasy New Jersey. Where are you going? Fantasy New Jersey! I mean, come on, fucking fantasy New Jersey. That I gotta know. Is there, you know, the one thing that might tie all this shit together? Sopranos RPG. Oh, GURPS. Ghost Dog Tour. What's that? Oh, what? Ghost Dog did get mentioned earlier. Unknown Armies. Unknown Armies. They also run Toronto, Canadian Sabata. This is from 2002. Good old times. Good times. Maybe. My fantasy city, Chicago. The only thing worse is they live there. Like, let's see, how many... Chicago. 77 community areas, dude. Neighborhoods in Paris. Who is in Paris? Let's see. Divide into an administrative zone called the left bank 15. So actually, I mean, we do London neighborhood. London neighborhoods. London's a very nice city, by the way. I do enjoy my time in London. Quite a few things to work on. Roma. Okay. All right. All right. Bologna. Bologna. Bologna, my favorite place. Welcome to Bologna. Okay. All right. Gurp. Sorry, everyone. I'm gurping. Oh no. Oh no. I'm gurping. No. Oh no! I'm gonna go. Yeah. You do 12 with 3 to 5 territories each with 12 districts. 4 territories per district. Well, with 12. 4 territories per district with 12 total districts. A little bit more anomalous. When in doubt, magic machine, do thy work. But yeah, okay. So either, okay, I don't quite know how I want to do that yet, but factions effectively are going to be divided into 3 different, you know what I can, when in doubt, let's go back to Soldat Sans Identité. How would you look at GURPS for city design? You don't. That's the funny part. Threats and enemies. Action. Divided into 4 suits when in doubt. Back of the cards. Divided into 4 suits. You have the underworld. You have the underworld where you're specifically a part of, which is going to be clubs. The aristocracy, the aristocrats, which is going to be diamonds. The underworld, the aristocrats, the actually we could probably call it the guard. So we change them to clubs. Change the underworld. Spades. You divide everything into 4 suits. There's 10 ranks. 10 ranks to every. You can do some. Keep it simple. Keep. There's probably a better way of looking at this. And I know what it is? Absolutely not. But that's half the fun, right? That's fun. It's fun having no fucking idea what's going on. It's like gambling, except just nobody wins. Nobody wins. Yay! They're still going. I'm not going to be able to record fucking anything. For context sake, I don't know if anyone can hear that, but they are repaving the entire street today. Like they tore up all of our streets over the past few days, and they're repaving them tonight of all nights because fuck me, I guess. I didn't know they would be doing it tonight, so fun times for Notepad. I love this. Really, maybe the real joke was me fucking up along the way. Yeah. I think we can make this. We say fuck this. We instead focus on didn't really say fuck this, but generally speaking, you don't need to design too much of the city. The city should feel weird and effectively the city should feel like there's enough going on with it, but it's like you want to control an entire district. Let's say, for example, one of the 13 districts, you need to have authority over all 4 of the territories inside of it. The district is yours. That's going to be hard. Generally speaking, you're going to be kind of like early game, you're going to be focusing on one territory, one little area of one neighborhood effectively. Then, you're going to start expanding. Like, okay, we've kind of secured our little patch of peace right here. We're moving up, we want to continuously move up through the neighborhoods until we have the full territory. Have the full kind of the district under our control. Now, what we could do is we can probably tie each of the territories, and that's why I kind of shifted things, 4 territories. We can kind of shift, we can kind of put them with maybe the suits and maybe we can tie them to the suits themselves a little bit, you know, being like, you know, it's like, hey, this is something that you actually, this is kind of like more like drugs and things like that. You know, diamonds are more like money and gambling, things like that, protection rackets. Generally speaking, you want to be able to control what people like, how to get money out of them, protecting that resource, and most importantly, securing that resource. You might have security, you don't have protection. Generally speaking, it's like, yeah, you have the ability to make sure that everyone knows that you're in charge, but you have no way to protect that asset. You know, people are going to want, you know, to claim your shit. But if you only have authority, you only have protection, nobody likes you in it. So you need to kind of appeal to them in different areas. So that's kind of the big thing there. Or, alternatively, we say fuck it to all of that and we just do it like Rogue Trader, which is a completely different way of looking at things, but also completely valid. Where we don't really worry about territory as much as, you know, kind of more of the gangland, more of the, you're more focused on the crew rather than the territory you control. So if you say, hey, we're going to be, you know, doing like drug stuff more than anything. We want to import drugs. And we want to make sure those drugs get into the city so we make a shit ton of money. Okay, cool. This is how you do things. Like, you need to do things to get point A to point B. That would be a lot easier to manage rather than like territories and stuff. I mean, that could work. Okay, you know what? I'm going to think on that bit, but we should be good enough to begin at this point. We should be good enough to get going and understand how to get going. That makes any remote amount of sense. What'll probably happen is we will start Sword Bastards on Friday. Normally I don't start projects on Friday, but we've been kind of sitting on this one a little bit longer than I had planned. So we're going to work on this one. We're going to start it on Friday. Saturday, we're going to be doing the Curious Case of Ura 2. So that'll be fun. Probably no stream tomorrow. No stream tomorrow. I'm going to be working on the video. I don't think the video is going to be very long. It's just a rapid fire on a few different games. None of them were very big. What games are going to be present in the Curious Case? Let me open it. So far, I thought about one, but I kind of talked myself out of it. Currently, we have Twilight 2000, 4th edition, as requested. We have Contact, Tactical Alien Defense RPG, Michael T. Denzing Army Ants RPG, and Patrol. Patrol is going to be kind of like the big one in that front, because Patrol, it's a little bit weird, but all of them are kind of strange in their own way. I had one called ECU, Eldritch Carry Unit, because I got pitched that it's MASH. It's not MASH. I was somewhat disappointed in the fact that it was in fact not MASH. I would do the MASH RPG, but it's a PBTA game, so I don't want to. So yeah. Not exactly like... The only two odd ones that I think like nobody's probably heard about is Contact and Army Ants, because both of them are just weird games that kind of came out of nowhere. But we do actually have a full... I went through the entirety of Twilight 2000. We've got a very special boy set up, and he's ready to go. He's ready to save Poland. Though I will probably still do the... most likely, I will still do the Year Zero case eventually. I still need to get a few. I think they're putting out another game here soon, so it's like, okay, like maybe let's not do that right now. So, yeah, that's that. I will see you all on Friday, which will begin Sword Bastard. And... thank you very much. Godspeed. Good luck. You know the rest. The video will hopefully be out tomorrow. Will be out on Friday, and if that's if things go perfectly according to plan. For context sake, what I did, I didn't do nothing yesterday. If we go here and we do, to give you an idea, these are the table derby charts. These are the translated table derby charts. I just spent far too long doing just a shit ton of these, and they just take time. That's all it does. I just need to do time for every single one of these, and double checking and triple checking. Most likely, I will be able to finalize everything for Table Derby next week. We're going to start compilation next week. I want to get it done by the end of the month. I don't think I will be able to. Rolling boulders uphill, basically. It's not even really rolling boulders uphill. It's just like... It was just grind work. That's all I needed to do, was just grind shit out. And I did grind things out. And it's mostly done. And what I really need to do at this point, the current thing that needs to occur, is finish up some of the side notes, and then start the compilation process. Compilation, I don't think will be very long, because this isn't a complicated game in the slightest. There's just a lot of game that I need to double check constantly to make sure all the fucking little terms are right, to make sure all the little notes are right, because it's not gonna wanna work if it doesn't. Because fuck me. Alright, so that's that. Godspeed, good luck. Yeah.